The morning
Welcome
of my
back to the
18th
channel.
birthday began with
My
excitement
name
I
is
had been
Emily,
holding on to
and
for
this
months.
is the story of how one
I stood in
heartbreaking
front of the
text
mirror,
message from
smoothing
my
the
own
wrinkles
mother
from the
changed
pale
our
blue
family
dress
forever.
I'd secretly bought with money
My
from my
8-year-old
part-time
daughter
job at the
Lily
local
had spent
bookstore.
most of her childhood in
It wasn't
and out of
expensive,
hospitals because of
but
a
it made me
congenital
feel
heart
beautiful.
condition.
For the first
Every
time in
birthday,
years,
every
I
school
believed the
event,
day would
and
finally
every
be about
holiday
me.
came with uncertainty because
I had
we never
invited
knew
only
when
8
another
close
medical
friends.
emergency would
We were
interrupt
going to
our
have
lives.
dinner in our backyard under strings
Despite
of warm
everything,
lights I'd
Lily
spent 2
remained the
weekends
happiest
hanging
little girl
myself.
I had ever known.
My best friend Mia had
She
baked my
smiled through
favorite
blood
chocolate
tests,
raspberry
laughed
cake,
with nurses,
and another
always
friend had
thanked
promised
every
to bring her
doctor who
guitar
cared
so
for
we
her.
could sing until midnight.
When specialists
It wasn't
finally told us
extravagant.
that open heart
It was simply
surgery
my
was her
18th
only
birthday.
chance for a healthy future,
The one
I was
birthday I hoped
terrified.
my parents couldn't
I
possibly
stayed
ignore.
awake for countless nights researching
Downstairs,
the
I could hear
procedure,
dishes
praying for
clattering and
strength,
voices
and
drifting
trying
through
to
the
convince
kitchen.
myself that everything would
Smiling,
be okay.
I walked down the stairs
My husband
expecting to
had
see my
passed
mother
away 3
decorating
years earlier,
cupcakes.
so it was
Instead,
just Lily and
I
me.
found both my parents sitting
I
at the
hoped my
kitchen
mother,
table with
Margaret,
serious
would
expressions.
stand beside us during
My
the
younger
hardest
sister
moment of
Emily
our
sat
lives.
between them with her arms folded
Instead,
dramatically
she
across her
barely
chest.
answered my calls.
She wasn't crying anymore.
She always claimed
but her eyes
hospitals
were red
made her
enough to tell me
uncomfortable
she'd been
and
doing it
insisted
recently.
that children were stronger
The
than
knot in my
adults
stomach
gave them credit
tightened.
for.
Dad?
Deep
I
inside,
asked carefully.
I still believed that
He
once she
motioned toward an
realized
empty
how
chair.
serious Lily's
Sit
condition
down.
was, she would
No
come
one
running
wished
to
me
support
happy
her
birthday.
granddaughter.
Not one
The
person.
surgery lasted nearly
slowly
8
pulled out the
exhausting
chair.
hours.
Mom folded
Every
her
minute
hands.
felt like an eternity
We've
as
made
I
a
sat
decision.
in the waiting room clutching
Every
Lily's
instinct
favorite
told me I
stuffed
wasn't going
rabbit.
to like whatever came next.
Finally, the
Emily
surgeon
sniffled
walked toward
loudly.
me with a gentle smile
Mom
and
reached
said the
over and rubbed her
operation had
back.
been successful.
You know, Emily has been
Relief
having a
washed
difficult
over me
week.
so powerfully that
I
I burst
blinked.
into tears.
What does that have to do with
After
today?
Lily was transferred to
Dad
intensive
sighed.
care, I carefully
feels
took
like
a
everyone is
picture of
always
her sleeping
celebrating you.
peacefully.
I
She
stared
looked
at him,
fragile,
convinced I had
surrounded by
misunderstood.
tubes and monitors,
What?
but she was alive.
Emily looked down
I wanted to
dramatically.
share that miracle
You
with my
always
mother,
get everything.
hoping it would bring our family
I almost
closer
laughed.
together.
Everything?
I sent the photo with a
My
simple
room
message.
still had
Lily
peeling
made it through
wallpaper
surgery.
because Mom said repainting it
She'll
was a
have
waste
a long
of money.
recovery, but she's
I
going
bought
to be
my own
okay.
clothes. I
I
paid for
waited
my driver's
anxiously
lessons.
for a loving response.
I worked 20 hours every week
Instead,
while
my
maintaining
phone
straight
buzzed
A's.
only a minute later.
Emily, meanwhile,
My mother's reply
had a
was
brand
just
new
one
phone,
sentence.
horseback
Stop making
riding
her
lessons,
our problem.
designer clothes,
I stared at the screen,
and piano
convinced
classes
I had
she'd already quit
misunderstood.
twice.
My hands
Everything?
trembled as I read
Dad
the
cleared
words
his
over and
throat.
over again.
Your sister doesn't feel
Tears
special
blurred
enough.
my vision while my heart
The
broke
words
into
echoed
pieces.
through the room.
At the moment, I
So,
needed my own
Mom
mother the
continued
most.
gently,
She had rejected
"We're
not
canceling
only
your
me,
birthday
but
dinner."
also an innocent little
I
girl
stared at
fighting
her.
for her life.
I'm sorry.
I quietly
You're
locked
what?
my phone, wiped
We
away
think
my
it's
tears,
best.
and walked
Emily
back into
avoided
Lily's
looking at
hospital
me.
room.
Mom
As I
smiled
held her
sadly
tiny
as though
hand,
she expected
I
me
made
to
a promise
appreciate
that
her
no
wisdom.
matter who abandoned us,
We'll
she
celebrate
would never
another
feel
time.
unloved.
When?
I didn't realize
Maybe
that my
next
mother's
month.
cruel message would
I
soon reach
laughed.
the rest of our family.
A short, broken
and
laugh.
once everyone learned the truth,
18th birthdays
nothing in
only
our
happen
lives
once.
would ever be the same. The
Dad's
next
voice
morning,
hardened.
I woke up in the
Don't be
uncomfortable
selfish.
hospital chair beside Lily's bed,
Selfish.
still exhausted
word landed
from the
harder
surgery
than I
and from the
expected.
pain of my mother's message.
I planned everything.
Lily was awake for
You'll
the
understand
first time
when you're
since
older.
the operation.
I'm 18
Her
today.
voice was weak, but
Emily
when she saw
suddenly
me,
spoke.
she smiled and whispered,
I just don't think it's
"Mommy,
fair she
did my
gets all
heart
the
get
attention."
fixed?"
I slowly
kissed her
turned
forehead
toward
and
her.
told her that the doctors
You had a
done an
birthday 4
amazing
months
job
ago.
and that she was incredibly brave.
That was different.
Watching her
How?
fight through the pain with such
shrugged.
courage reminded me
I wasn't
that
as
my
happy
energy
then.
belonged to her recovery,
I looked
not
back
to
at
my
my
mother's
parents.
cruelty.
Neither one
I
corrected
tried
her.
to push the
Neither
text
one
out of my
defended
mind,
me.
but every time
Mom
my phone
reached
lit
across
up,
the
my
table.
stomach tightened.
Honey, sometimes
Around
families
noon,
make
my
sacrifices.
younger sister Hannah called.
I swallowed
Her
hard.
voice sounded hesitant.
I've been sacrificing my
"Emily,
entire life.
Mom showed me the photo you
Silence.
sent," she said softly.
Outside, I heard my
For a
friends
moment,
laughing
I
as
felt
one of their
hopeful,
cars pulled
thinking
into the
perhaps
driveway.
my mother had been worried
My
after
heart
all.
dropped.
Then
They were
Hannah
arriving.
added, "She also showed
Dad
me what
stood.
she texted you."
I'll tell them the party
I
is
can't
canceled.
believe she wrote that.
No.
Tears immediately
said I'll
filled
handle
my
it.
eyes again.
He walked toward
Hannah
the front door
apologized
before I could stop
repeatedly,
him.
explaining
I
that
stood
she had
frozen
argued
while
with
I
our
heard
mother
muffled
and told her
voices
the message
outside.
was heartless.
Then confused
She
questions.
promised that she was on my
Then
side
awkward
and
apologies.
asked if Lily needed anything.
Car doors slammed one
Her
after
support
another.
was the first comfort
Within
I had felt
minutes,
since reading those
were
devastating
gone.
words.
Just like that. Months of
Later
planning
that
vanished
evening,
in less
another
than 5
call
minutes.
came from my Aunt Rebecca.
I walked
then from
outside
my
after
cousin
everyone had
Sophie,
left.
and even from
The
my
fairy
grandmother
light still
Eleanor.
hung across the backyard.
Somehow the message
The
had
empty
spread through
tables
the
waited
family.
for guests who would never
Each
come.
person sounded shocked
Mia's
and
birthday
embarrassed
cake
by my
sat
mother's
alone on the
behavior.
patio table.
They
The
asked how
frosting
Lily
had
was
begun
doing and
melting in
offered
the
help with
afternoon
meals,
sun.
transportation,
Someone
and
had written in
hospital
beautiful
expenses.
cursive,
Their
"Happy
kindness
18th
stood in
birthday,
painful
Sophie."
contrast to my mother's
I
rejection.
stared at those words until
2
my
days
vision
later,
blurred.
while Lily slept,
Behind
Hannah
me,
arrived at
I
the
heard
hospital
laughter.
carrying fresh clothes
I
and
turned.
snacks for me.
Through the kitchen
She
window,
looked
I saw my
exhausted.
parents ordering Emily's
Mom is
favorite
furious
takeout.
that everyone is criticizing her,
smiling.
she admitted.
Emily was laughing.
According to Hannah,
As if nothing
our
had
mother
happened.
insisted she
As
had
if
only
today
meant that she could
belonged
not
to
handle
her.
constant medical updates
Something
and that I was
inside
being
me
dramatic.
finally broke.
Hearing that
I walked
excuse
upstairs
hurt
without
almost as
saying
much as
another
the
word.
original message.
Opened my closet.
There was
pulled
no
out my old
misunderstanding
travel
in the words
backpack
she had chosen.
and began packing everything
Stop
that
making
actually
her our
belonged to
problem
me.
was not a plea for emotional
If they could cancel
space.
my birthday
It was a
because my
dismissal of a
sister
child
didn't
who had
feel
just
special
survived
enough,
open heart
then maybe
surgery.
they didn't deserve to have me in their
Hannah
lives
squeezed
anymore.
my hand and told me
I'll
that most of
continue
the
with
family
scene 2,
disagreed with our mother
about
completely.
750 words.
She also revealed
Sophie
something
leaves
that
home,
explained years of
builds a new
emotional
life,
distance.
and her parents begin to
After
realize
my
what they've
husband died,
lost.
my mother had
Then scene
repeatedly
3 will
complained
deliver
that
the
I
emotional
depended too much on
confrontation
relatives
and
and
satisfying
that raising
ending.
Lily alone had become a burden
The zipper
on the
of my
family.
backpack sounded louder
I
than
had never
anything
known
else in the
those
room.
conversations had happened
I stood
behind
in the
my
middle
back.
of my bedroom and looked around
The
one last
realization
time.
felt like another
The
betrayal.
faded lavender walls still
That
held
evening,
photographs
I
from
finally
school
received
trips,
a direct
debate
message from my mother.
competitions, and science fairs.
Instead of apologizing,
Every achievement
she wrote,
on those
I
walls
don't
represented
appreciate
years of
everyone
hard
attacking
work.
me over one text.
Yet not a single one had ever
You've
earned more
always
than a
expected
distracted,
people to revolve
"That's
around
nice,"
Lily's health
from
problems.
my parents before they turned their
I
attention
stared at
back
the
to
screen in
Emily.
disbelief.
I took down only
There
one
was
picture.
still no concern for her
It was
granddaughter,
of my grandmother
no
and me on my
question
10th
about Lily's
birthday.
recovery, and
She had
no
passed away
acknowledgement
3
of the
years
pain she
earlier,
had caused.
but she had always whispered
For
the
the first
same
time
words
in my
whenever I
life,
felt
I
invisible.
stopped trying
Never
to
stay where
defend
you're
or
treated like you're
excuse
an
her
option
behavior.
instead of a blessing.
I typed a calm response.
I slipped the photo
Lily
into my
is not a
backpack.
problem.
As I reached the
She is
hallway,
my
I could
daughter.
hear laughter drifting from
If
the
you
dining
cannot
room.
show basic compassion,
Emily was
I need
excitedly
distance from
talking
you
about
while
the
we
movie
focus
she
on
wanted
her
to watch
recovery.
after dinner.
My
My
finger
parents
hovered over
laughed
the
along
send
as
button
if they
for
hadn't
several
just
seconds,
shattered my
but
heart.
once I pressed it,
No
I
one
felt
came
an
upstairs to
unexpected
check on
sense of
me.
relief.
No one wondered
The
why I had
following
been
week
gone so
brought
long.
slow progress for Lily.
I quietly carried my backpack
She
to
began
the front
walking
door.
short distances through
Just
the
as I
hospital
reached for
corridor,
the handle, my mother
holding
looked
my
up from the
hand
table.
and proudly showing the nurses
"Oh,"
her healing scar.
she said casually.
Every small
"Where are you
step
going?"
felt like a victory.
I stared at her.
Meanwhile,
"You
the
canceled my
silence from my
birthday."
mother grew longer.
"We already discussed
She
that."
did not call, visit,
"No,"
or ask
I
about Lily
replied
once.
calmly. "You
Yet the
explained
rest
your
of the
decision.
family stayed in
You
close
never asked
contact,
how it made me feel."
sending messages of encouragement
sighed
and reminding us
impatiently.
that we were not alone.
"Sophie, don't turn this into
As
more
Lily
drama."
prepared to be discharged,
I looked at all
believed
3 of
the
them.
worst was behind us.
"I hope Emily feels
I
special
had no
now."
idea that our first day home
Emily
would
rolled
bring
her
a
eyes.
confrontation that would force
"See,
my
she's
mother
trying to make me
face
feel
the
guilty."
consequences of
My
her
father
words
nodded
in front
toward
of the
me.
entire family.
"You'll calm
Week
down
after
after a
Lily
few
came home
hours."
from the hospital.
I adjusted
Our
my
family
backpack.
gathered at my
"I'm
grandmother
not coming back
Eleanor's
tonight."
house for her birthday
Mom
dinner.
frowned.
I
"Where are
almost
you
declined
staying?"
the invitation because
"Somewhere
Lily
people
still
actually
tired
wanted me
easily.
today."
But Eleanor
For the first
insisted she
time,
wanted to
silence filled
celebrate
the
with her
room.
great-granddaughter
Mom stood
after
up.
everything she had survived.
"Don't be ridiculous.
Lily wore
I'm
a
finally
soft
being
pink dress
honest."
that carefully covered
Dad
the
folded
fresh
his
bandages
arms.
on her chest.
"If you walk out that
She
door
looked
over
pale
something
but
this
determined,
childish,
proudly
don't
carrying
expect
the
us to
little
chase
stuffed
after
rabbit
you."
that had stayed beside
The
her
words
throughout her
hurt.
hospital stay.
Not because they were cruel,
As we walked
because
into
I
the
believed
house,
him.
nearly every
I
relative
smiled
rushed
sadly.
over to hug her gently,
I never expected
telling her
you
how
to.
brave she was.
Then I walked out.
The room filled
No one
with
stopped
warmth,
me. No one called my
encouragement,
name.
and quiet admiration
No one even wished
for the
me
little
happy
girl who
birthday.
had faced something most
20 minutes
adults could
later, I
barely
stood outside
imagine.
Mia's apartment.
Then my
The
mother,
moment she opened the
Margaret,
door and saw
entered.
my backpack, she didn't
She
ask
glanced
questions.
at Lily for only a
She
moment
simply hugged
before
me.
turning her attention
The
to
kind of
everyone
hug that
else
made me
as if
realize
nothing
how
unusual
desperately I had
happened.
needed one.
There was
"What
no
happened?"
hug, no
she
apology,
whispered.
and not even a
The
simple
words I'd
question
been holding
asking
back
how
all
Lily
day
felt.
finally spilled out.
I
They
realized
canceled my
then that I
birthday
had
because
spent
Emily
years
didn't feel
hoping my
special
mother
enough.
would become someone she simply
Mia stared at
refused
me
to
in
be.
disbelief.
Dinner
They...
began
What?
peacefully, but the
I
silence
nodded.
between my mother
They
and me
chose her
grew heavier
again.
with every passing
Tears
minute.
rolled down my face for the first
Finally,
time that day.
Margaret looked across the
Mia
table
pulled
and
me
said,
inside.
"Emily, I think
My
this
parents are
family
making
has made far
pasta.
too much of
You're
one
eating with
text
us."
message.
Her mother looked up
Everyone
from the
keeps
kitchen and
treating me
smiled
like a villain.
warmly. "There
The
she
room
is!
became completely
Happy
silent.
18th birthday!"
Forks stopped moving,
3
and
simple
every
words.
conversation faded.
Happy 18th birthday.
My grandmother slowly
I burst
placed
into
her glass
tears.
on the table and
Mrs.
looked
Carter
directly
immediately
at her daughter.
wrapped me in her arms.
Before I could respond,
sweetheart.
Hannah spoke first.
What happened?
Mom,
By the
it
time I
wasn't
finished
just a text
explaining
message.
everything, the entire
Emily
family
had
sat
just
in
watched her
stunned
daughter
silence.
survive open heart surgery.
Finally, Mr.
And your
Carter shook
first
his
response was to tell her to
I
stop
can't
making
imagine
Lily our
treating one of my
problem.
daughters that way.
My mother rolled her eyes
Mrs. Carter
and insisted
placed me as
everyone had
homemade cake on the
misunderstood
dining
her
table.
words.
The candles
She
are
claimed
still
she
here.
was stressed and
There
overwhelmed,
were 18 tiny
blaming her
candles.
behavior on a difficult
She lit
week.
every single one.
But no one
The lights in the
interrupted
kitchen
Hannah
went
this
off.
time.
The Carter family
Instead,
gathered around
Aunt
me.
Rebecca quietly pulled
They
out
sang
her phone
happy
and read
birthday
the
with
exact
smiles
message
so
aloud.
genuine that I cried
Hearing
through the
those
entire
cold words
song.
spoken in the room made
the
them
first time
sound
that
even
day,
crueler than they had
I
on my
actually
screen.
felt celebrated.
Several relatives
Before blowing
lowered
out the
their heads
candles,
in
I made
disbelief.
one silent wish.
At that moment,
Please let this
little
be the
Lily
last
looked up
birthday I
innocently
spend
and
trying
asked,
to earn
"Grandma,
someone's love."
am I really a problem?"
The next morning, I called
Her
my
tiny
manager
voice
at the
broke
bookstore.
every heart in the room.
I was wondering if there were any
Tears
extra
immediately
shifts
filled
available.
my eyes as I wrapped my
As
arm
many as
around
you
her
want,
shoulders.
she replied.
Before
Within
I could
2
answer,
weeks, I
my
was working
grandmother
nearly
Eleanor stood from
full-time
her
while
chair.
preparing for college.
Although she was
Mrs.
well
Carter
into her
insisted
70s,
I stay as
her
long
voice
as I
was
needed.
firm and unwavering.
You focus on your future,
"No,
she
sweetheart,"
told me.
she said,
Everything
walking
else will
over
work
to Lily
itself
and
out.
gently taking her hand.
I helped around the house,
"You are
paid
a
what
miracle.
little rent I could afford,
The only
and saved
problem
every
here
paycheck.
is that some adults forget
Slowly,
what love is supposed
life
to look
became
like."
peaceful.
The room
There were no
fell silent again.
comparisons, no favoritism,
Margaret looked stunned
no
as she
walking on
realized
eggshells.
even her own mother would
For the
not
first time
defend
in
her.
years, I could breathe.
Eleanor turned toward her
3
daughter
months
and
passed
continued,
before my phone
"A child
finally
fighting
rang.
for her life
It
should
was
never
Mom.
have to question whether she
I stared at
belongs
the screen
in this
until it
family.
stopped ringing.
If you
A minute
cannot
later,
show
a
compassion,
text appeared.
then you have forgotten
Mom,
the meaning of family.
Your room is getting dusty.
No
When
one
are you
argued
coming
with
home?
her.
Not, we
Margaret's
miss you.
confident expression
Not,
disappeared.
we're sorry. Just,
For the first time,
your room is getting
she
dusty.
seemed to understand that
I
this
locked
was not
my
about
phone without
public
replying.
embarrassment or family gossip.
Another month passed.
It
then
was
another.
about the pain she had caused
I started
an innocent
college with
child.
scholarships I had earned through
Tears
years of
formed
studying.
in her eyes as she
The
slowly
bookstore
walked
promoted me
toward
to
Lily.
assistant supervisor.
She knelt beside
I rented
her
a
chair
tiny
and
studio
quietly
apartment
whispered,
near campus.
"I'm sorry."
It wasn't luxurious.
Lily looked at me
The
instead
kitchen
of
was barely
answering.
big enough for one person.
I gently smiled
The couch
and told
came
her
from a
she
thrift
could
store.
respond however she
The
felt
table had
comfortable.
scratches. But
After
every
a
single
long
thing
pause,
inside that
Lily
apartment
simply
belonged
said,
to me.
"I forgive you,
I had built
Grandma,
it myself.
but I don't want anyone to
One
call
evening,
me a
while
problem
organizing
again."
books on my shelves,
Those words
my phone
carried
buzzed
more
again.
wisdom than many
This
adults
time,
ever
it was a
learned.
message from Dad.
Margaret broke down
Dad,
crying.
Emily
admitting
is
she had
graduating
spent
next
years
month.
hiding behind
Your mother
pride
thinks it would
instead
look
of
bad if
admitting
you
when
aren't
she was
here.
wrong.
Please come.
She apologized
I read the
to me
message
as well,
twice.
acknowledging
There
that I
wasn't
had
a single
carried the weight
apology,
of raising
not
Lily
one
alone
acknowledgement
while
of
she
what had
chose
happened on my
distance instead of
18th
support.
birthday. Just another
Forgiveness
reminder
did
that
not erase
appearances
the hurt
mattered more than
overnight.
feelings.
Rebuilding
I set the
trust
phone
took
down
months
without
of honest
answering.
conversations.
For the first time in
consistent
my
actions,
life, I
and clear
realized
boundaries.
something important.
I no
Walking
longer
away from my
expected
family
mother's
hadn't
approval
broken
to
me.
feel complete.
It had saved me.
My happiness
What
came
I
from
didn't
watching
know was
Lily
that
grow
only a
stronger
few weeks
every day.
later, a shocking
Her
truth
scar
about my
slowly
parents'
faded,
finances
her laughter returned,
and Emily's
and she
endless
eventually
demands
ran across the
would
playground
force them
with
to
a
face
healthy
the
heart that
consequences of the
doctors once
choices they
feared
had
she
made
might
for
never
years.
have. As for our family,
6 months after
we
I
learned
left
that
home,
love is measured
another
not by
message
words
appeared on my
spoken during
phone.
easy times,
This
but by
time,
the
it wasn't from
compassion
my
shown during
parents.
life's darkest
It was from my
moments.
Aunt Rachel.
The cruel message
Sweetheart,
that
I know
once
you
shattered
probably
my
don't
heart
want to hear
became
from
a
the
reminder
family,
that real family
but I think you
stands
deserve to
beside
know
one
what's
another
happening.
when hope seems impossible.
I hadn't spoken to Aunt Rachel
and every
since
time
moving
Lily
out,
proudly pointed
but she
to
had
the
always
small
been the
scar
only
on her
relative
chest
who
and
quietly
called it her
checked on
bravery
me.
badge.
She
I knew
never
we
took
had survived
sides,
far more than
though I
surgery.
suspected she
We
knew
had
far more
survived
than she ever
betrayal,
admitted. We
discovered
met for
who
coffee
truly
the
loved
next
us,
afternoon.
and built a future
The
defined
moment I
not
sat
by
down,
bitterness,
she reached
but
across
by
the table
strength,
and squeezed my
grace,
hand.
and unconditional love.
You look happy, she said
Welcome
with a gentle
back to
smile.
the channel anytime for
I
another
finally
true
am.
inspired family
She
story.
nodded.